Hello there. So today I'm with Sam and I'm going to be doing a reading for him, and he runs the Merlinus in the Impractical Wizard channel. And he's here with one of his little friends today, and we're going to do a reading for him to connect in and try and help with some issues that he's been dealing with today. So, do you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi everyone, I'm Samuel or Yule, and this is my friend Asa. It's my very first build I got from a kit, but he's very shy, and I have some questions about why am I kind of drawn to the history of puppetry so much, and what connections like I might have with spirit. I'm also a medium, so I find it's a fascinating idea to put psychic and medium closer together in a unique way, like Violet is offering here. So I wanted to be a guinea pig, and I brought my friend who's half blanket and half bird to experience the time as well. So thank you for having me here, Violet.
And his link, if you want to see him and his other little friends, the link will be down in the description below as well.
Acquaintances more than
Yeah.
friends. We got loose acquaintanceship, not friendship yet.
So there was a particular um, um, puppeteer that you were particularly drawn to. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about that, or?
Yeah. So I've been researching puppetry for a few years before I started getting into building and performing. And so I was very drawn to Jim Henson, like a lot of people were. And in his biography, it references a show called Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, made by a puppeteer named Bert Tillstrom. And the videos of a kinescope recording of these shows from the late 40s to early 50s are being uploaded to YouTube. And I'm seeing in full episodes a lot of this content that was not available for years and years. And I'm really drawn to watching it and really inspired by it, even though that some of the techniques may not be as precise, but a lot of the character performance, the identification with the audience, and comedy timing is really, really on point, which I don't fully understand. Why am I being so drawn to this past energy where I know other current puppeteers who I really enjoy, but their content is not being drawn to me as much?
I mean, you showed me the picture as well just before we started recording. You sent me the picture through, and the first thing that I got from when I first saw the picture, I immediately got drawn to the lady, to the woman. So I'm going to put up here somewhere like the picture that you sent me through of them. I'm actually getting drawn more to the lady that is in the picture, and I feel like the reason is it's like the guy in it doesn't like to be center of attention. Although he is
Yeah,
puppeteer, I feel like he did not like it. It was like it was scary to him. Like he loved the puppets, like he would happily play all day long with the puppets, but the idea of him being spotlight, him talking, he did not like it. And it's like she was almost like his voice for him. I know like the videos that you sent through, like she's actually singing on it, but like I feel like just out of like their day to day, like if they were going to interviews or shows or something like that, she would almost be like this
the
guardian to him.
promotional front-facing
Yeah,
element.
but she was much more of like almost like a guardian to him, of like it was, I don't know if he had autism or even if they would have actually diagnosed it with that time, but I feel like it was overwhelming for him. Like the idea of being surrounded by so many people was overwhelming. Like he loved the fact that what he was doing was bringing so much joy to people, but it was too much for him to be out and about in public, like
Yeah, well, I
in
know
front
he
of
was
people.
very particular with merchandise. Like they never made like puppets and a lot of toys. Like they didn't merchandise very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, but I feel like that he didn't feel comfortable being out in the spotlight like that. So like even like when they weren't doing the puppets, when they were doing like promotional stuff or going to places for awards or something like that, he would still want her to be the one that would come forward and talk. because I feel like she was very confident and she was very much like pushing him forward and pushing him forward kind of thing, not in an uncomfortable way, but she was very much the
So, well, that means a lot to me because I want to be both. I kind of want to be like a Johnny Carson and uh, a Jim Henson, someone who's
yeah.
able to do both, who's a mix, who was able to kind of overcome some of that you're
Yeah.
talking about. And I want to hear from her, like, how is it to interact with something that you know is not alive in a way that's alive? Like, that's a main question for her I have.
I feel like straight away the one thing that's coming through is you already know how to be a puppeteer. It's just being comfortable with being a puppeteer in front of people is the difference. Like you already know how to act as if that, it's alive and it's a person. Like you've got your puppet up before and you were talking about before we started how the hairstyle is and stuff. You already have that ability to think and empathize with it and think, okay, well, he'll be thinking about his hairstyle, about how it's flowing and how it's going and stuff. You already have that ability. The problem is you've got so used to masking that ability because it isn't socially acceptable, and I say that in quotes because what is socially acceptable, that is a metaphor. And it's almost like you've more got to get used to the kind of concept of it's okay for you to let down those masks. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why you're getting drawn to those two themselves, is because I feel like he is still about, like, I do feel like he's connecting in as well, but he's more at the peripherally. But I feel like that's just how he is in general. And she's coming through more as a mouthpiece for him. So she's like coming through to help him still to kind of bring forward who he is.
Articulate.
Yeah, and articulate who he is. But I feel like you already know how to do that. It's more having the confidence that you can do that, that it doesn't matter if other people don't see it as normal or socially acceptable. It's okay for you to embrace that. And I feel like that's why you're getting drawn to them, is because he understands the concept of how that feels to kind of have to mask who you are 24/7. And that's why you're getting drawn to him more than the modern puppetry, just because the fact that if you were like meeting in like modern day sort of thing, you're meeting in person, a lot of the things that he went through would have resonated with you, although it is broken out of time. It's like a lot of the struggles he went through with feeling like he was normal, like he belonged, you would have had the same sort of feelings. And I do feel like there was some sort of problem with like parental figures as well that he also would have lived through, and that I almost feel like because he was very gentle of a person, a gentle of a boy, it wasn't allowed back then. Like it wasn't allowed to be that gentle and kind. And
Well, he's remembered as like one of the first openly gay puppeteers.
yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. But I
Yeah,
don't even feel like just because he was gay, I feel like he was very gentle and kind as well. And I do want to use the word gentle and kind because I do feel like he's a very gentle and very kind
yeah.
person. And that kind of personality wasn't allowed back then. Like, and also being gay as well, like he wasn't allowed to be this gentle, warm, loving person. It was almost like beaten out of him as a child kind of thing. Like, I do feel like that he kind of kept hold of that, but it was almost beaten out of him. And I do mean like literally almost beaten out of him. Of that he was forced to kind of secede back into this shell. And I do feel like that the whole puppetry was a way for him to live out that gentleness, that kindness in a safe way, so that he could express his feelings and express this gentleness, this kindness, this lovingness that unfortunately back then wasn't allowed to be done. Like nowadays, we're all fine with like men showing affection and showing gentleness and showing being kind to people. But back then, I I feel like he was allowed to. Like, you had to be a big strong man, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I don't feel like he was like that. He was much more gentle, much more kind, very loving. And I do feel like that's why he got drawn to the childish side of life, was because there was this innocence there, and like he could act loving and he could be kind, but also he could kind of disappear into that, and he could become those characters and work through things as well. And I feel
And
like
there was like an anonymity.
yeah, and it was like, you're not having the same pressure, you're not having to maintain eye contact, you're not having to like be in the front row of it. You can
Well,
just
you have to maintain eye contact in a different way.
yeah yeah you maintain it through the puppet rather than like direct, like line of sight kind of thing. And it was like that anonymity sort of thing, that he could be another person and he could be all these personalities to show that kindness and show that love. And especially with the puppets as well, because of them being aimed at children, it was much more acceptable to explain to children about being lovely to each other and loving each other and stuff like that than it was for adults to be nice to each other. Like, it was much more of like, oh, you're a man, you have to be like bossy and mean and stuff. But I feel like she helped him a lot to kind of overcome that and know that it was okay. And I feel like that's why they
Because
thrived
if you
together.
think about it, it's kind of rare to see performers stay together for so long. Like,
Yeah,
usually that's not a very common thing in entertainment.
yeah. But I feel like that she really loved working with him because she loved his personality, the kindness. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why she's drawn towards you as well, because you have the similar personality that he did. And that kindness, that lovingness is kind of what they created in their art, was the fact that, you know, being kind and loving and just bringing like a little thing of happiness, basically a little, you know, 5 minutes of happiness sort of thing. And I feel like that's why you're getting drawn to them so heavily, is because of the similarities of learning how to kind of open up and learning how to
So
kind of move forward.
there's one major similarity I notice I have with Bird Tillstrom is I really want to inspire the younger puppeteers, like other people to get into it. From like the moment I was interested, because people were so kind to me, I want to pay back that kindness. But I feel like it just goes all the way back for like maybe hundreds of thousands of years of
Yeah,
people just being kind in the profession.
yeah. And I do feel like you will, I mean, that's one of the things that's coming through, is that you will, but you need to learn to walk before you can run, kind of thing. You
Yeah.
need to allow yourself to experiment and, you know, try out new things and stuff like that. And you will get the opportunity to like teach other people and to allow people to like, and I feel like particularly to allow children to speak through their puppets as well. Like, you'll be teaching people how to speak through
And
their
adults
puppets.
too, yeah.
Yeah. And you'll be teaching people how to speak through them in the same way that he spoke through the puppets. You'll learn how to do that for others, to teach people how to speak through the puppets so that they can actually have a good relationship, basically, with themselves and with, you know, having a loving relationship and having a connected relationship. Because even now it is still hard for some people to kind of talk about how they feel, and I know that is a bit of a therapy kind of way as well, that talking through the puppets
Yeah.
to express yourself.
Puppets were involved in an art therapy that I was involved in as a kid that really helped. They brought in a puppeteer that and a group of kids, and it really helped a lot.
Yeah, but I do feel like they do want to try and help you and guide you through this in their own way. I don't feel like it'll just be them, but I feel like they are more heavily
So
drawn to
then
you.
my next question is how can I assist in that? Like how can I participate in helping with that
I feel like it's more to
connection?
do with pain with you right now. Like, there is some releasing of pain still to be done. So I almost want to say, like, you know, I know this sounds a bit of a downer. You know, like sometimes when you have like a big cry and you just blurt everything
Well,
out.
I've been crying for this whole video. So
Oh, I'm
if
sorry.
you've been watching, the tears
I
would
couldn't
flow.
tell in the picture because I couldn't tell on the thing. But it's almost
But
like
it,
It's almost like you need to have a, like, you know, like the stereotypical girly night when you, like, you know, you eat a pint of ice cream and then you cry it all out and you just talk about all of that. Like, you need to just bleh it all out kind of thing. But I do feel like there's more releasing of pain that needs to be done, because as for like actually like what you would actually physically do with the opportunities, I feel like those are going to come through thick and fast, basically, because I, like we were saying before, like, you know, this just seems like it's what you should be doing. Like, the opportunities have just been flowing, and that's sometimes what happens when you kind of connecting. This is what a friend as well told me, and through mediumship and all that, is that when you find the thing that you're meant to be doing, everything just falls into place. It all just comes together, and they are trying to help you with that. But I feel like more than anything, it's helping you to deal with like letting down the mask and dealing with being in the public attention sort of thing, because he was kind of lucky because he had her to be there to be the shield. But
And I want to do both.
yeah, you're partly learning how to do both now, and that is going to come with time. But I do feel like they're trying to help you in their own way because they understand it from their own perspectives of what happened.
So here's another question on that. How can I humanize with non-human elements? Like, how can I emotionally connect with these characters, these identities that are in abdomen but can come alive through my connection with them?
So, like, just as you said that, I felt like somebody else coming in, which is like another guide that I had coming in that's more like Native American-y kind of thing. And the way that he was explained was kind of like, you need to stop thinking of animals as different to humans. You know, like how like the Native Americans talk about like brother bear or brother bird or whatever, like, you know, you need to start thinking of the animals as brothers and sisters. So similar way you'd be thinking of empathizing with, say, your pet dog or something like that, or your pet cat, and you start seeing them as humanoid because of that. Like, you understand their empathy of what they want, what they need, that kind of thing. So go back to like the basis of like looking at animals, of how do you empathize with them as being like fellow spiritual travelers. So I think start thinking about it more of that in the similar way that Native Americans would see like animals as their brothers and sisters, because that'll help you then transfer it over to the puppets, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because also I'm reading a book that I'm loving so very much. It's called The American Puppet Theater,
Yeah.
uh, and from 1524 to um,
Oh,
1946,
oh,
and it really covers a lot of Native American puppet tradition.
okay. So that kind of
And
comes back around to what I was saying about the Native American part.
well, even more because
Yeah.
I was in a show and tell, and someone there was, uh, she works with the American Native Indian Museum and does storytelling performances with corn husk puppets. And she was showing her Native American tradition puppets and was asking for like creative problem solving from other people,
Yeah.
and was really, I felt so connected to what she was showing. And I want to also ask more about that if we can. Um, is there a part of needed of me documenting the history of puppetry? I feel like I'm I'm getting called to that as well.
I do feel like you will eventually, but I almost feel like this is more 10, 20 years down the line. You know, like when,
Use it as inspiration more so.
yeah, use it as inspiration at first, but I feel like this will come, like the actual documentation stuff will come later, because you know the way it's coming through is, you know how Henson, like, everybody listens to what Henson said in his autobiography because they looked up to what he did. I do feel like there's actually performances you're gonna do, like, I do really strongly feel like that you're going to do actual performances. So it's going to be like you do performances with other people first, but eventually you'll have your own show or something like that. I know you've got your YouTube channel, but I mean more like a structured, you have
Yeah,
your
I'm working
own
on
kind
a
of thing.
stage and a live show.
Yeah. But I feel like because of that, that'll get big, and then people will come to you because they want to get your insight about puppetry in the same way that people look at
Becoming more
Edison.
renowned and respected.
Yeah, and then that'll be the time when you'll be like sitting down like 10, 20 years time and going, you know what, I'm going to sit down and going to write all my history of puppets, but use it as inspiration at first, and then I feel like the documentation stuff of it, of actually like teaching other people, will come later. And that's when it's almost like cycles of the moon. Like you're
Yeah.
in the beginning phases of where you're starting to like hone your craft, and then you'll get to a point where you're renowned for doing your craft, and then you'll go full cycle into your teaching others. And it's a bit of a rotating cycle of like, you will then teach the people who are honing their craft, and the cycle kind of continues.
Yeah, I that really means a lot. Uh, and thank you. And so one other question is, so when I'm planning on writing some performances, and I'm kind of being drawn to writing things where some part of it I perform and some part of it I kind of am the human element to the performance. And I'm really drawn to that over just doing performance. And there's not a lot of like track record and not a lot of references I can look to. And that's why I was drawn to these two at Kukla, Fran, and Ali. Violet Ann says we can link to the YouTube channel I referenced before.
Yeah.
And because it's one of the very few references I currently have for that. And it's not exactly what I'm looking for, the exact reference, but it's the closest thing I have. And my main question is, being time management techniques, kind of like being able to do each thing in the right time. If that's
But actually be able to perform it or get everything done, like, okay, I'm going to spend an hour writing, an hour this, and
yeah, exactly. It would speak more of like management of time.
yeah. One thing I want to say just before, because this is just stuff that I've been getting through, is when you're kind of doing the performancing and stuff, you're always going to get some people who are going to think you're a weirdo and be like, oh, why are you doing that? That's weird. But don't listen to them. You are surrounded when you're going to the places that do invite you in to perform. You're surrounded by people who want you there to perform. So don't feel weird about it. Like, you should be enjoying it and embracing it. If they have a problem with you doing a puppet show when you're meant to be doing a puppet show, that's their problem, not yours. Like, it's their problem that they have, not yours. Because I feel like the biggest problem is, and like, I understand it because I get this as well with tarot and with Taiki stuff as well. You feel a little bit like a weirdo, and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. People think I'm weird and stuff, but you need to embrace that, because I feel like that's the biggest obstacle you have, is just embracing it and not giving a crap and going, you know what, like, even Jim Henson would have somebody going, oh, why are you playing with puppets for? Because they don't understand it. Even he would have people like that. So don't.
Yeah, it's documented that happened.
Yeah, but
there's like proof of that actually happening.
But if he chose to kind of give up on it because of those few stupid people, we wouldn't have half of the wonderful, like, Sesame Street and all the rest of it and stuff that we have. We wouldn't have the Muppets and all that sort of thing. We didn't have all this wonderful stuff that we have if he'd have chosen to listen to those people that were, being funny with him and stuff. And sometimes you have to, it's the concept that only interesting people and only the weirdos change the world. Normal people and boring people, get forgotten, and it's
get lost to the shuffle.
Yeah. And you embracing that is the key. But coming back to the time management thing, I do feel like having to treat it a little bit like a job will help you. Of like, there's lots of time management tools and stuff out there where you can actually schedule in time. So scheduling time slots for yourself. And I feel like with them, because they had a set like
shooting time.
Yeah, shooting time that they they had to stick to things. And the problem is, because you're doing it as a hobby, you don't have a strict shooting time. And I feel like if you can start to, which is going to be hard because you're doing a day job on top of it and also learning craft, but if you can stick to a shooting time, even if it's once every 2 weeks, like if you say I'm going to put a video out once every 2 weeks or something like that, you can say, okay, just an example, every Saturday I'm gonna do work on it. So one Saturday is gonna be I write all the stuff and I shoot it, and then the next Saturday is I edit it and upload it or whatever. You know, you can schedule off those times and have a specific day that you keep to, so you get into this routine of like, I'm doing it on this day, but also having the set schedule as well, I feel like will help you. But obviously, like, creativity does have a little bit of a blend as well of having to kind of do it when you're feeling up to it. But I feel like having a structure of how often you want to get out with, so either like once a month or every 2 weeks or something like that, so you can get a set
so
time.
kind of create a schedule, and I can also promote that as part of the content. Like you
Yeah.
see some content creators produce, like, release that but video schedule.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit easier in some ways for them because they were doing it as their full-time job, so they didn't have to go to a 9 to 5.
Well, even
And
hobby ones do that too.
yeah, but yeah, it's going to be a bit difficult with that. But I feel like if you can put yourself on a schedule of I'm going to do this on certain days, and I'm gonna upload every first Monday of the month, or every Tuesday or every Saturday or whatever it is, like you have a set schedule of when you're going to upload them, it will help you so much of just keeping it to like one long format one to begin with, and then you can always edit shorts from that. Basically, you reuse the footage and stuff to cut out shorts or something later on, but focus
more collaborations as well too.
Yeah, but heavily focus on I'm going to do this, and be gentle with yourself, because obviously if you commit to doing like one every week or something like that, maybe you'll overload yourself. But if you start doing it something you definitely know you can manage, you can always do more later, if that makes sense. And also gives you time to do things in person as well, to hone your craft and to go to lessons or to collaborate with people and stuff like that as well.
Well, yeah, thank you very much
I hope
on
that helped
that.
you.
And so, to be respectful of your time here, is there any other messages from Spirit coming through?
Just don't be afraid to be yourself. And I think that's the biggest fear for you, is to be yourself. Is that you are so terrified of being yourself that it is overwhelming. But I do feel like that's the reason why they've come towards you, because the fact that he lived a similar life to you and she was always there to protect him, and that she wants to help you with that as well, and he wants to help you through that journey as well. So have you got anything else you want to comment on, or?
Well, I'm just really inspired to just kind of be a small little, link in the chain of puppetry. I'm really grateful for the people who were kind to me and reached out and helped me in things, and I will continue researching history because I'm really drawn to it. And I will keep watching their videos, and I hope other people do. It's strange how something that might be considered old and dated has a timeless aspect to it, and that's like a humanity. The human aspect is timeless, and I encourage other people to look into that if you're interested. So thank you very much, Valadon, and I really enjoy our collaborations.
It's been good. It's been really good reading for you, and thank you for coming on. If you'd like a reading like this, I'm going to try and do shout outs of trying to do these either once a week or every 2 weeks, depending on how I can get collaborations. The listing will be down below. You can also get a private reading with me down below as well on my website, volatantaro.com. And I will see you all again soon, and please check out his links as well in the description.